Blues Highway. But music wasn't in the plans when it was built. Like the railroad and riverboat, Highway 61 was created and maintained for moving cotton and timber out of Mississippi to the riverfront warehouses of Memphis. And like cotton and the rest, Mississippi blues made that journey to Memphis to be exported all over the world.
I had an uncle that used to be loud and hearing for miles singing. And his singing would make me stop many times just to listen and hear it. Cotton fields in Mississippi. I don't think, even today, I've been there several times. I got many talented people and I've heard them chant and many things, but true blues come from the South.
Beale Street was a haven for the black man. They come up from the Delta and got to Beale Street, don't owe nobody, know nothing. Everything. It was heaven. It was heaven to these people that came up, all black. But I told a white fellow on Beale Street one night, I said, if you were black for one Saturday night on Beale Street, you never would want to be white anymore.
And Beale Street was absolutely no surprise to me. And when we got here on Saturday morning, it was pouring down rain. Down Beale Street on Saturday morning, 4:30, it was just God boodles of people. The Mississippi River and Beale Street, there was destiny involved here. I mean, all the ingredients were here to make a damn sizable cake and the best tasting one you will ever eat.
One of the earliest musical memories that I have was being with a musical, as part of a musical family. Growing up right near Beale Street. I would hop, skip, and jump from Beale Street. We lived in a project called the Foot Homes. We heard all kinds of music, country music. My mother grew up on country music. Every Saturday we were tuned in to the Grand Ole Opry. She loved rock and roll type songs and gospel. I mean, then Daddy loved the blues and he loved gospel. And this was long before we got to WA. So we were growing up in the midst of all kinds of music.
I know a lot about 61 Highway. I know a lot about the cotton fields. I know a lot about the mule, the wagon, chicken, hogs, and everything. Because not only 61 has so much blues history. I was thinking after I was talking about Cleveland, Mississippi, where the museum is now. I believe it was 1956 and 1957. I have to run the history on it. I believe it was the first, Cleveland was the first town in Mississippi had a Holiday Inn. That was a sheriff that I got to know pretty well in Cleveland, Mississippi. He was a white guy. He goes away around 8 o'clock in the morning. He gets off about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I was in Cleveland, Mississippi, playing just below Cleveland, Mississippi, at a place called Hole in the Wall in 1956, 1957. And I wanted to go to a hotel. As a black man, there was no hotel to go in, especially in Cleveland, Mississippi. And at that time, the Holiday Inn was the first Holiday Inn I know of in Mississippi. It was in Cleveland, Mississippi. So I wanted to go stay in this hotel. So I would go across the street where now I think it's a radio station there. If it's not there, the last few years they've been torn down. There was a phone booth across the street. I went across the street and I tried to sound like I was this white guy, and I was saying, my name is Bubba Johnson. I got this little long hair guy, Barbara Rush, coming over there. He's one of mine, and I use the N-word. Give him a room for the night. Yes, sir, Mr. Sheriff. And I would go knock on the door 5 minutes later. My name is Barbara Rush. The sheriff sent me over to get a room. And I would get the room and be out of the room before 7 o'clock in the morning because he goes to work at 8 o'clock. So I could be gone out of town and out of the room before the sheriff get to town because I don't lie about the sheriff and sent me over there. That happened in Cleveland, Mississippi. If you track the record, I think Cleveland, Mississippi, the first Holiday Inn was in Mississippi. And I lied and stayed there. And what black people didn't stay there. But I was lying and say, I was the sheriff. This Sheriff Johnson, I will use it with that. You one of my ends going over. His name is Bob Ray. Little long hair guy, a little skinny guy. But he'll be about as short. I sent him over there. And I would wait a few minutes. The sheriff sent me over here to get a room. Oh yeah, come on here, come on. That's where I got a room. Little Mississippi.
So
Now we know that.
That's happening Highway 61.
So now we know also that a lot of the stories you tell in your songs, where you put another person in, that was really Bob Rush.
Yeah. Well, I play like I was the sheriff. They were sending me over there, But that was Highway 61, and that was the start of my blues story about Highway 61. Was his name? All 99% black people was gambling and done everything in Tunica, Mississippi. From 1949 at least to 1956.
So I'm gonna stop you right there because that's gonna get back to a question that I want to ask about. I'm gonna jump over to you guys and let you try to top that story. In your Highway 61 experience, but please introduce yourselves.
My name is David Cunion. I am the curator of the New Orleans Jazz Museum and the music curator of the Louisiana State Museum. I'm trying to think of my story. I certainly do not have anything even close to as good a story as young Master Rush there. But yeah, I mean, Highway 61 starts in right by the main public library in New Orleans, downtown, and as you say, it goes all the way up. And I've spent a lot of time running around the various parts of it. And I always look at it not only from hearing, that right on Highway 61, for instance, was where the Mid-City Rock and Roll used to be, where I used to hear a lot of Zydeco in the 1990s. And Highway 60, speaking of someone who had the blues, Highway 61 is where the motel where Jimmy Swaggart got busted was on Highway 61. So you think you have the blues on Highway 61, think about what the blues Jimmy Swaggart had. And then you keep going up, it goes through Baton Rouge and the blues there, and then it goes through St. Francisville, where you take a left and you go to Angola, the state penitentiary in Louisiana, and you think about all the assorted musicians who went there, most famously, Lead Belly spent some time in there and going up and down that highway, and then it goes through Woodville, Mississippi, where William Grant Still, the great composer, was born, and also Lester Young, the tenor sax player. He's in there, so I just think that's just barely getting out of Louisiana, all that stuff. So I ride up and down it all the time, but you ride down Highway 61 all the time too. You ride down Highway 61 all the time, so that's kind of my connection to it.
My name is Boo Mitchell. I'm the co-owner of Royal Studios and a music producer and engineer, songwriter. So my father was Willie Mitchell, that produced all those Al Green and High Records. And my whole family's basically from Mississippi. Before, I think Pops and my great-grandparents moved to Memphis when Pop was about 9. So it would have been like 1930 or something. But anyway, my studio has just always had a historic connection with Highway 61. A really good friend of my dad was Bobby Rush, and well, not Bobby Rush obviously, but Bobby Bluebland and Ike and Tina Turner. Ike is from Clarksdale and cut about 17 records at Royal Studios, just along with a host of other people. And my Highway 61 story, and basically from New Orleans to Memphis stories, I made a record a few years ago called Uptown Funk on Mark Ronson and Bruno Mars. And when they first came to Royal, I had no idea what kind of record was going to be made. It was Mark Ronson and his production buddy Jeff Basker, and Mark was making a producer album, which I had no idea. They came to Royal, wanted to audition singers. So Mark is very introverted. Jeff Basker is very extroverted, and Jeff goes, "Hey man, let's rent a car in New Orleans and drive up the Delta from New Orleans to Chicago and find the next soul singer." And along that route, and they did, and they stopped at Royal Studios, and Mark fell in love with the studio, and we ended up making this album. But if it wasn't for Highway 61, probably would not have recorded Uptown Funk.
Okay, that's good.
Brother Leonard walked out, Leonard and Phil walked out and said, "What you laughing about?" It's what Bobby Ray said, that's what everybody, Bobby Ray said, the union was merging, and it's gonna be good for us. So Leonard said, "Where he get that influence off your desk?" He threw it back at me with a pamphlet, a little bigger than this. So what did I say, boy? And I read it to him. He said, "We can't use that nigga because he can read." I didn't get the contract. But water, Howard, all of them got the contract, but I didn't. I didn't know that they didn't want nobody to read or write, because that's a way of controlling your publishing, your writer, your contract, and counting your money. So I didn't get to do it. So I was sitting in Chicago, not knowing what to do. So I wanted to wait for Caesar Capone, which is Al Capone, brother, gave me a job. He said, "No colors allowed on the door." But he gave me a job because I had nerve to do the audition with 4 white guys. He said, "We're going to integrate this play." Well, little dumb me, I didn't know what integrate was. I thought that was some big word. I'm trying to find a dictionary and find what's integrate. I thought integrate because I thought I was 19, 20 years old. I thought I was looking good. I was a little stud. I thought they were going to lock me up with a bunch of ladies and mate me. You know? And I said, "I'll be a good integrator."
So in the process, because I think you spoke to it, of what the expectations were musically along the way, but also as you're seeing also the knowledge that there. Do you think that along 61 Road, this is going to get a lot deeper than I planned it to get, but we're going to go there. Do you think that there was more opportunity for an artist to make more money in the South than there in the Jim Crow segregated South, where racism was open and wide, or in the North where they pretended that there wasn't racism?
Yes, it was more because, but we was always trying to get into a place where we could better ourselves to get the white audience in our walls. Because when I first went to suburb of Chicago, which both did it, Muddy Water got me a job, where I played behind the curtain every night, where they wanted to hear my music, they want to see my face. Now I was making a lot of money, because I was making $7 a night, me and the band. Then I finally got a raise to $15 a night, and I hired Muddy Water every Wednesday night for $5.50. That Muddy Water was working for me for $5.50 in 1951. But I thought I would make a lot of now when he take $5.50 from my $13, you know what I got left for me and the other 3 guys. But the music haven't changed. It's just the people who run it. The juke joint was owned by black guys, and you could make a decent living, but the children's circuit was in because children's circuit wasn't about the juke joint. The children's circuit was a meal that they paid you to work. Chitlins, that's what they give you. I was so good, man, I would get 2 plates of chitlin, 2 hot dogs, and 2 hamburgers. I would sell each one of them 15 cents a piece. And sell my children for 25 cents. So I was making $3.50 a night on selling my food. You know, I was just that good. But the music have changed a little bit through the years. But when you think about it, Bruce knows it better than anybody. All the music and all the things have changed, but so many things remain the same in music.
So let's talk about what remains the same. If we're looking at